Hello, I'm Janelle Mulligan. Today I would like to talk to you about alternative ways to talk about being triggered and to have a different vocabulary to talk about that with your partner or spouse. So let's start with the word triggered. Triggered is a term that many people use, and they phrase it as he triggered me or she triggered me. If she hadn't done that, she had not done that action, I would not have been triggered. By doing that, she triggered me. And I don't personally like that term triggered. I heard a phrase from Tammy Lenski a couple years back called conflict hook. So instead of being triggered, being hooked. Here's why I like hooked better than triggered. Triggered puts the power in somebody else's hands. It is an action they did to you, and by saying they triggered me, you're taking more of a victimized stance and saying you can't help how you react to it in some ways. When you think about it as a hook, you can look at it like a sweater. When you're walking past a piece of furniture and your sweater gets hooked on that furniture, either you can choose to keep walking and let your sweater be ripped, or you can make the choice to stop, turn around, unhook your sweater, and keep as much damage from happening as possible. I like the term hooked because it puts the control back in your hands. It makes you think about it in a way that you realize that you have control on how you react to that situation. While they may have done something that violated one of the facets of your core being, and we will talk about them momentarily, they may have taken an action or said something that violated one of your facets. Does not mean you have to then violate one of their facets. What am I talking about? Facets of your core being. In a previous video, I spoke about human needs, survival, interest, and identity. Well, the interest and identity are very complicated part of our human needs, and they are typically made up of many different things. With my research, that I believe there are about 11 facets, or can be broken down to about 11 facets of ourselves that if somebody does or says something, can end up, if not controlled and if not recognized for what it is, can then escalate into conflict. And so when we look at it from the term I am hooked and apply it to, well, what hooked me? What is it that in this, what this person said touched a facet of me where I felt that they attacked or undermined some facet of my core being? Let me talk about those 11 facets. In those 11 facets, when it can be just one of them are hooked, or one or many of them are hooked. And when they get hooked, our initial reaction is to go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. We'll talk about those reactions in a later video. The 11 facets that could be hooked are safety, identity, integrity, inclusion, competence, independence, fairness, accountability, be seen, expect the best, and appreciation. Let's talk about each one of these. Let's start with safety, which is probably the most self-explainable. Our safety, if our physical, mental, or emotional safety has been threatened in some way, real or perceived, by the person, then they are going to feel hooked. They are going to want to react in one of many ways. And that is probably the easiest seen and most understood across the board. So let's go into the second one, identity. Identity is made up of many things, but they include things like our culture, our religion, the role we play in our family structure, in our job. It is the thing that how we see ourselves and the role we play in the world. That is your identity. Third, inclusion. Inclusion is our ability to be accepted in a community and be included in that community. Community in this aspect, it can be used very fluidly, meaning community can literally be the neighborhood you grow up in, community can be the church you belong to, community can be a school, it could be a group of friends. Community is just a group of people that come together and our desire to be included with them and not shunned in any way. Then we have competency. So our desire to know we're doing a good job and feel that other people recognize that we can do a good job. So if somebody threatens our competency, they are giving us the impression they do not trust that we can get something done and that they do not feel that we have the ability to finish what needs to be done. And that then threatens our competency. Independence. Independence is our desire to be autonomous, for the ability to be able to come and go as we please without feeling like we are owned or controlled in some way, shape, or form. We all want to have our own independent view and control over ourselves, our emotions, our bodies, and our physical space. Then there's fairness. Fairness is the desire to be treated with equality, the desire to be treated just like everyone else with the transparency and same process and procedure as everyone else. Fairness is the desire for people and systems to be equitable and for there not to be inequality. Then there is accountability. We all want to be able to be held to certain standards, to know that we take accountability for our own actions and apologize if we have mistreated somebody, and then we also know that that person is going to take ownership of themselves and change something, take action to change the thing that they did wrong originally. We want people to take that accountability for themselves, just as we expect to take accountability for our own actions. Integrity. It is our desire to be treated with dignity, respect, honor, and that people will assume that we are having a good character. And we're going to talk about this in the next point. Expect the best. Along with expecting people to treat us with integrity, we hope that they will see the best and expect the best first. Donna Hicks wrote a book regarding dignity, and her term, or the way she phrased this concept, was benefit of the doubt. Brene Brown also has some similar twist to this, and she calls it assuming the best. When we assume the best in someone and we meet them where they are and recognize that they are bringing as good as they can to the table at that time and appreciate them for that, is expecting the best, both for ourselves and for others. Next is being seen. We all have the desire to be seen as we are today, warts and all. We want people to acknowledge our existence and empathize and sympathize with where we are in that existence. That's being seen. The final facet of ourselves is appreciation. We all want to be recognized with gratitude and grace and thanks for what we contribute to our households, to our jobs, to our environments. We want people to see what we are contributing to our part of that relationship, whatever that would look like. So we have our 11 facets, and if we recognize them and start identifying which ones are more sensitive to us than others, somebody says something or does something that hooks us, we're first going to feel an emotion. We're going to feel anger. We're going to feel hurt, disappointment, fear. The emotion is a flag to you that one of your 11 facets has been threatened in some way. And when you start, recognizing you're hooked, look at what the emotion is, which is basically the furniture that is hooking the sweater. Look at what that emotion is that's saying, hey, you're hooked. And then to remove it, you have to then recognize what facet or facets underneath there are being affected. And if you assume the best, as Brene Brown says, and meet that person where they are, and look at it from that point of, okay, they are hooking my competence facet, and they may not know what I can do. Not take it as personally, and don't put it as in emotional terms. That's the other reason I like these facets, is because they are more neutral terms that people can relate to. It helps de-escalate the conversation because people get very anxious speaking about emotions. Talking about these facets allows that conversation to be presented in a more calm fashion and in a way they may be able to relate a little better to. If you would like to explore further what your facets are and try to learn, where your sensitivities are, so that then you can be more cognizant in your conversations and interactions with your loved ones, please click the link below, schedule a 30-minute free consultation with me, and we can see what we can do to work together. Have a great day.